So, back with poverty in India, and in this, we're going to discuss the causes of poverty and we're going to categorize them as to, say, for example, uh, being underdeveloped country. So, the factors that make us underdeveloped, all those contribute to poverty in India as a nation. And then we have this unequal distribution of income and wealth, which again sustains this poverty in India. And the other reason also is uh, can be said to be political. Implementation, they do make very good policies, but the implementation part is not really good. So we just go through these causes while we. So, looking at the causes, measures to remove the causes. What are the causes of poverty? So, as you see, that there is this, we are underdeveloped. So, what are the features of an underdeveloped country? Like we have a low level of, we have a low level of per capita income. So, any country which has a low per capita income falls into the category of the poorest country according to the UNO norms. So we are very much there. Then our growth rate is also very slow. We we were growing at a 5%, but not good enough for people at large. Then also we had this what is known as unemployment and underemployment. So we find that most of the rural poor are either disguisedly unemployed or suffer from seasonal unemployment. And we've talked about disguised unemployment and seasonal unemployment when we were doing agriculture. Then we also find that even urban poor are either employed or employed sometimes they're not, intermittently employed as casual laborers. And these casual laborers are really vulnerable in society because they have no job security, they have no assets and no skills and no surplus to sustain life. So that is there. And in what do you have in the urban areas, which is known as underemployment? A person who's got a degree in B.Tech is doing a job of a clerk or a peon. So this sort of underemployment is also there, and because of the poverty, the bargaining power is absolutely nil. So besides that, we have this population growth, which is found amongst the poor. Again, this itself is responsible for the problem of poverty in the country. Poor people are either ignorant of birth control measures or do not think the need for birth control. They expand the size of their family without taking its consequence into account. And another thing is that they consider a male child as an asset, as a source of income and a source of security uh, during their old age. So again, so it has its effect on the income, per capita income. And again, illiteracy, we are illiterate basically. That's also a major cause of poverty. Indian farmers in villages fail to learn new methods of cultivation and adopt new tools and implements. And the urban areas, workers are employed as unskilled workers and paid much low salaries. And here they live in slums where they lead miserable life, and consequently their productivity gets affected, falls. So that is also there. Then we also have what is can be called as rising prices, continuously rising prices, which is known as inflation. The inflationary spiral is there. So inflation also brings about poverty because the real income of the households is eaten away. So, those who are little above the poverty line are driven down the poverty line. So, this is also found here. And of course, those who are below poverty line, they are compelled to suffer deprivation over a longer period of time. So, it's having its toll. The rising prices, as you find, is getting to be uh, getting to keep the poverty going. So because it increases the burden of the poor. And then you also have uh, the social causes also we can talk about. That means we have the social structure of our country is full of outdated traditions and institutions like say caste system and joint family system, and this obstructs or comes into the way of changes in the economy. Poverty is sustained that way. Like for example, they have these religious beliefs, faith, law of inheritance brings about fragmentation and subdivision of property and land. And Indian people spend lots of money, do they have or they don't, on social events like marriages, birth and death festivals, etc. And another thing that the caste system has reduced the mobility of labor. So they can't really, that also comes in the way. And another thing about Indian mentality is that we are fatalists. We put it on fate. So in a way, we take poverty as God given, and we take uh, we don't make an effort to get out of it. Sort of, I put it on scriptures and so. And then again, talking about unequal distribution of income and assets. This is a real major reason, if you see, for perpetuating poverty here in India, because though government has been trying to bring about equal distribution of land through its fiscal policy, that is taxation and expenditure policy and monetary policy, but still we haven't really made very good inroads out there. According to NCAER report of 2009-10, NCAER is a National Council of Applied Economic Research, says that top 20% of population gets 53.2% of total income, while the bottom 40% population gets only 15.3%. So, and there's another report in which they say the Monopoly Inquiry Commission says that there were 1,536 companies in the country that are controlled by just 75 families. And this is this widening gulf between the rich and the poor, which will keep going, because those with higher income certainly have greater capacity to generate still higher income in the near future than those with lower income. It's, as they say, nothing succeeds like success. So when you're rich, you get richer. Because with a huge stock of wealth, the rich are able to build the fortune while build up their fortunes, while the poor continue to struggle for survival. So that is also found that so this way the problem of poverty has been worsened because of this. So another thing is that political causes, yes, there is, because even so many years of independence and still we like to blame the Britishers for all the ills that we even face today with poverty. But I think it's high time to get out of it, and really the government has sort of failed to protect the interests of the poor. Economic policies are formulated to promote the interest of the poor, but they are not really, the implementation is really not there. And sometimes it's also, we find that policies are made for the richer section of the society, that is industrialists, traders, landlords, etc. So in this, there is a growth, there is growth in the economy, but that's jobless growth which is taking place. So these are a few causes, and if you can think of other causes, please put them on. But it's so we'll meet for how do we get over this, how do we solve this.